Well, good morning everybody from a grey, not raining, quite warm Peterborough. No, it's not raining. I'm on call for Leicester. If it rains in Leicester, I'm going to be busy, so it's quite good news. So firstly, apology for being quite so long before doing this video. And thank you and hello to Nigel and Wendy Rowbotham who actually requested this, and it's just to go through some of the water test stuff. So I'm doing this in two parts. As you've seen on the last video from Steve, he said that we have had to cut an ulcer on a couple of the fishes. We've actually been struggling with pH. We had quite a big pH crash during the week. So I'm going to do some water tests, because it's time to do them. And treating with chloramine T, I just thought I'd sort of illustrate some of the battles that we seem to be having. So the first thing to talk about is chlorine. Now, our water company, Anglian Water, and probably most of them treat with chloramine. So as an antibacterial, we've treated. Obviously, what we don't want to do is to get the fish to get any bacterial infections on top of what they've got. So, but of course, it sends your test to WAPI. So as you can see from doing the chlorine, I've got the Hanometer, obviously clear water. That's my control sample. And having just put the potassium iodide in, as you can see, this is pink already. Now, it probably wouldn't actually need to do the numbers. We've got it down to around 30 parts per billion last time I checked on the chloramine, which really you can't see the pink with the naked eye, so you need your Hanometer or other. I'm sure others probably meters are probably available. I moved a couple of years ago now, from maybe a year ago, from going to doing the just simply by eye in a white cup. I was running out of white cups, so I've got a proper meter. But as you can see, hopefully you can see, 355. Oh, it's actually dropping the camera. So 50 parts per billion is about maximum we should be. So we got it down to about 30, which I was quite happy with. The fish were quite happy. If it went above 50, treating with sodium thiosulfate. But of course, we've just done that. So next decision is, how quickly is it going to come out? We don't necessarily do much water changes. We have obviously water going in fairly constantly every time the drum filter goes off, but only small amounts, so we don't do rapid water changes. And actually, so how long do I leave it for the chloramine to be in? Do I test again? Do I then neutralise it? I don't know. So it would be interesting to know in the comments if there's anybody who's got any experience with this. I'm thinking, from looking at the chloramine packaging, that probably 3-4 days might be the right time to recheck in the middle of the week, and then sodium thiosulfate. Do we wait to see how the fish are? I'm not sure. Anyway, that's part one of my dilemmas, and then we'll come to the other dilemmas in a few minutes. Okay, so number two, talking about pH. Now, we had a period of time back before we went on holiday, back in June, when the pH dropped, and unfortunately during the week it dropped again. So treating with sodium bicarb, and the way that sodium bicarb works is that it sort of, pH is a bit like a seesaw. If you imagine it as a seesaw, we've got too many hydrogen ions, puts the pH down, and therefore you get more acidic. The opposite is bicarbonate, and various other things that make it more alkaline, and therefore your pH goes up. The way that the sodium bicarb that you put in works, if you imagine, it's almost like putting bricks in the middle of the seesaw. so that the water is able to absorb, or the bicarb, sorry, is able to absorb the hydrogen ions if they as they come in. It's a long, complicated equation which I can't really remember now, but they basically mop up the hydrogen ions. So the pH at the moment, bearing in mind this was really quite tending towards the yellow during the week, and I've put quite a bit of bicarb in, it's still 6.5, you can see that, so that's still too acidic for where it should be. With my medical head on, 7.4 is the number that I'm used to working with, but 7 to 7.5. We've been around 7 for a couple of years, having operated at sort of 7.5 to 8 for a long time. We suddenly found that it dropped. But this is too acidic, so that's really not going to be helping the fish. So I've worked out the bicarb dose for the pond, and that's what I'm putting in. I haven't put in for a couple of days, but the way you actually check how much bicarb there is in your system is by doing the KH. Now, again, what we found is that although we've got incredibly hard water, which is chalky, that's carbonate, that we last year suddenly, from a really regular KH of 6 drops, we dropped down to 1 or 2. Which means that the pond has been on a bit of a borderline for quite a long time. So this should go blue when you put one in, and then you count the number of drops to go yellow. Bearing in mind it's a couple of days since I put the bicarb in, and this is going to be quite subtle. Well, let's find something white. So that's sort of a greeny colour, which actually is better than it has been. And this one probably is going to go yellow. So yeah, that's well yellow. Which means that again, somehow our system is just mopping up whatever bicarb we're putting in, is mopping it up quite rapidly, and it's obviously not being replaced in the water. Now, whether there's a change in the water, I've just no idea whether it's something we're doing. And there goes the drum. It's putting a bit more water in. I've just no idea. With a medical head on, I'm thinking, is there a big dead area where there's lots of anaerobic respiration going on? So there's sort of bacteria putting out acid. I don't know if that's possible, but that's what happens in a human, so you know, you kind of immediately think, well, maybe it's that. I've just no idea. So anyway, the upshot of that is we will be putting some more bicarb in, but that was sort of what I was expecting to have to do. The fish aren't looking too bad, so which is good. The behaviour is calming down. So then I think they've been probably they're about 7, you know, as a pH is where they're used to being. Obviously it's the big changes that I imagine are probably going to be way more important than something very gradually, up to a point. Yeah, so I wouldn't want it to be any less than 6.5. So yeah, that's number 2. So now we come to the next dilemma, and that is what you do with your nitrate. Now, I've been watching a few videos out there, and I know that several other people have been struggling with parasites, flukes, trick, Chiodinella, somebody had, and various other things, and we've had the same problem. We've had trick, we've had flukes, so you end up with a repeated round of treating the pond. And so you use your Donex Pro with appropriate dosing, and then whatever the dosing interval is, although that's quite hard to find out because of course the temperature makes a difference. Then we moved on to PP, potassium permanganate, which is great, but of course that's a general anti-life, what you call it, biocidal I suppose you'd call it, which means that of course it knocks all the bacteria in your filter off as well. And of course knocking your filter bacteria off means that you also prevent your nitrogens being sorted out. Now, as you can see, we've had nitrite, we've had a constant battle. Now that's pretty high for nitrite. But I'm not surprised because we're using chloramine. Again, chloramine's an antibacterial, knocks the bacteria off. Now, the way the bacteria cycle, or the nitrogen cycle, sorry, works is that you feed your fish. And quite a lot of this year, so earlier in this year when we were struggling with it, we were trying to reduce the amount of feeding, but of course you get hungry fish and it's not really very fair. Certainly trying not to feed very much protein, because what happens is the protein goes through the fish, goes through people as well, exactly the same, comes out in urea, which is secreted in urine as ammonia. Now that ammonia is a substrate for a bacteria, which then converts it to nitrite, and then another bacteria converts to nitrate. And that's the bacteria that you put in your gloop, you put in your filters. Those are the bacteria, the beneficial ones that you're trying to cultivate. But of course, every time you keep knocking them off, every time you keep treating, you knock them off. So then your nitrate goes up. Now, ammonia is a problem, nitrite is a problem, nitrate is less of a problem. So I've sort of been settling for medium-high nitrate, as long as my nitrite and ammonia are okay. Now, as you can see, the nitrite is high. We will be putting some more gloop in because we've just treated this morning with the final dose of the chloramine, so we will be putting some more in. We are aerating, because what nitrite does is it interferes with the fish's ability to use the oxygen out of the air. But we have actually been, as you can see, aerating the pond with extra air for quite a lot of the year, and this is because we've been struggling with the nitrate. We haven't done anything different. The setup is exactly the same as last year. We just have no idea what's been going on, why this isn't working. I'm expecting the ammonia to be a little bit green as well, which it's now half cooked. Again, I like it to be yellow. That's a yellowy green, but again, not a surprise at all. You see, the nitrite is now very alarmingly pink. Remember, you have to read it at 2 minutes. So the reaction will continue for all these tests. It happens for dipsticks as well, that the reaction continues to happen after the reading time. So if you read it late, then it's going to read higher than it was at the time. But yeah, we just sort of we've ended up in this cycle. We've got to treat the flukes, got to treat the parasites, therefore we're going to knock the bacteria off, so we're feeding less, and just round and round and round. And I don't know how the rest of you are coping with this, because it's getting a little bit tedious now. I'm one for saying, well, how do the fish look? Now, they were acting up when the pH was low. Get that. At the moment, they're looking a lot better. See, they're actually quite calm at the moment, and I haven't got the filter on, so yeah, that's just them just swimming around. That's fine. I'm happy with that. For me, that's the important thing, is how the fish looking. So yeah, in a couple of days' time, we'll put some more gloop in when the sort of appropriate time for chloramine comes, and we'll, in the meantime, feed a little bit less, and round the cycle goes. But yeah, again, I know some of the others have been struggling with this as well. We have been a bit late, actually. Let's just show you. So the plant filter's been a little bit late getting established. We've had mint in, as you can see now. We've actually got a couple of plants there. Some of them haven't survived the winter, fair enough. So we've got a mint, and actually that is a self-seeded mint that I found in the garden as well. So those two are working, and then one of the grasses is still alive. So hoping that those will start to take a little bit of nitrate out. Maybe that is the only difference, because we had these in last year, we had these plants. The year before that we had the watercress. Maybe it's time to start perhaps a bit of watercress again. As you can see, we've still got some spare pots where the plants haven't done. Maybe that's the answer. or one of the answers. I just really appreciate some comments. That would be great. Thank you. And we'll see you later. Well, here we are again. So we had a chat, we looked at the results, and having said that we don't tend to do water changes, we decided we'd do a water change. So I've measured the volume of water going in, or the rate of water going in. It turns out it's about 6.3 litres per minute. Original plan was 3 hours, ended up being 4 hours because we went to the pub. So I'm going to do a water change again, just see if it makes any difference whatsoever. That works out as about, let's just change that, 12.4%. So it's not a huge water change at all. And I've just done the nitrate and ammonia. They've only been cooking for a couple of minutes, and as you can see, actually they're already quite high. So however, the chlorine has gone down to 80, so that's almost what it should be. It should be less than 50 parts per billion. So let's see what the nitrite is, because that's the one that really bothers me. Oh, and there goes, obviously, the filter again. 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm not as bothered about nitrate, to be honest. Do your reading, and that's actually not the big problem. The big problem is ammonia and nitrate. Already I can see the ammonia's got a little bit of a green tinge, so already I'm thinking we're not going to give them a huge amount of food. We've actually run out. We tend to give them calciworms because they're cheaper than mealworms, but to be honest, we've run out, so that's not a bad thing actually. And we shall give that a couple of minutes. That'll be and we'll see where we're at. But clearly, even just 12.5% or 12% is not doing a huge amount of difference. You can see that's going quite pink. Although it's got the chlorine down. And when I did the chlorine, when I put the potassium iodide into the chlorine, it really didn't go quite as pink as it had done. So let's see where we're at with pH, bearing in mind that, or in fact, let's do KH first, because of course it was much more. I think the composition of the water probably changed last year somehow. There seems to be less bicarb in it. So let's see if doing a big water change makes a difference. So I did put a little bit of bicarb in. Oh, that's gone quite blue actually. So clearly the bicarb that I've put in has made a difference, which is great. The thing I should have said, and probably should have said earlier. So while the bicarb's made a bit of a difference, that's clearly slightly green still. So we're still. So that's 2 drops to go completely yellow. That's far better than it was, which I'd say was 1 drop. But the thing I need to say is that actually having a low pH is slightly protective of the ammonia. It's to do with ionisation and whether the ammonia, what form the ammonia is in, whether it's ammonia or ammonium, and its effect. So having a lower pH is slightly protective. Like the nitrite is cooked, and again that's still way pink. That's probably where it was last time. The ammonia and the nitrate, yeah, still a problem. So 2, 3, 4, 5. So what I'm looking for is this to be about 7. I don't want it to go any more. And let's turn my thing around. So now if you can see that, compare the top tick is the 7, and yeah, we're probably about there. So I'm happy with the pH, and happiest with the pH that I have been for a while, but clearly water change hasn't made a huge difference to the nitrate or ammonia. Probably a little bit with the nitrite, but not huge. So yeah, what we'll do, I think, is we will not give them much more food, give them a little bit, because it's not fair to keep them completely starving. And I mean, I know the algae off the side, but it's not completely fair. So we'll give them a little bit less and just see how they are in the morning, and if necessary we'll do another water change in the morning, see if we can drop that nitrite down a little bit. So I probably won't do an update in the morning because it's going to get tedious just doing the same thing again and getting the same results. So we'll leave it there. But yeah, so again, if anybody's got any magic ideas, I'll put some gloop in as well with some more bacteria to replace the ones we've knocked off, and I'll do that as soon as I've cleared this lot up. But if anybody's got any ideas, please let me know in the comments, because we just seem to be going round and round and round with this one, and I'm not getting anywhere. So we'll see you all on the next video. Hopefully some better news. Yeah, and stay safe, everybody. Hopefully you're all having a little more luck with the ponds than we are. Any fish? Oh yes.